Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? Sensorality is spatiality. Spatiality is essential. Space is essential. Sensation requires space. We continue working through our linguistics, looking for this completion. Again, geometrically, our letters are geometric objects, so there will be some obvious asymmetry to this stabilization, and just any other symmetries presented by the letters themselves should be visually obvious, but I will point them out if they are relevant, or if they present themselves to me. But completion geometrically is some sort of pairing, should be visually appealing, but just working through our definition. Is work busy, right? Somebody's doing a lot of paperwork. Oh, I'm just doing busy work, right? The linguistic logic presentation, busyness. Is work busy? Again, just pairing the two words. Sufficiality. Sensorality is sufficiality. Consistency is not difference. Sensorality is sensorality. And so now from that, again, our spelling progression, we just have the spelling with the sensorality with the C, or our sensorality, the one with the O, that's the one we're like resolving or producing this natural definition. We're completing sensorality with a C, and so we're taking that spelling, the C-E-N-S-E-R-ality, and then flipping this positioning of the C and the S. Sensorality is sensorality. The spelling will be on your screen. Sourcinality is sensorality. Sensorality is sincerity. Sensorality is sincere. Sincerity is the theme of sensorality. Kind of hear that rhyming getting back in there. What is obscenity to sincerity? Sincerity produces clarity. So kind of getting, again, like literally the self-generated question, what is the theme of sensorality? Obscenity. What is sincerity to obscenity? What is energeticality to symmetricality? Pairing the two words. Sensorality is clarity. Gravitationality is attractionality. What is attraction to resistance? Mass literally physically is resistance. Mass produces viscosity. Linguistically, the word gravitation is an iteration of a vibration. The GRA, you can see the vitationality in there is definitely, the GRA is the prefixing. The gravity attracts, right? Viscosity resists. Is attraction resistant? But sensorality resists attraction. Resists consists. Attraction is action. That is a natural definition. Sensorality acts, right? Logically, that presents that action, the word is relevant to sentient life. But then again, I think we're getting to the point where it's, again, all language is articulated by sentient beings, so it's all personified. And you have to like try to objectify language because sentient beings are articulating it. Orality is an action. Oration is action. And then emphasizing oration is action, logically consistent, but then again, it's almost a direct iteration. Kind of wanted to call it a natural definition, but didn't. Sensorality consists of resistance. So now we went from consistency to consists, and then resistance. Again, getting to this overall direct iteration, unique iteration of syllability of letters. A degenerate is an invalid. Historically, that's the term a bastard. Somebody without a father, but an illegitimate child produces a bastard. Bastardization. Resistance is repulsive. Sensorality is repulsive. Pulse, repulsive. Steps are discrete. Step, slept. Right, the past tense, again, that verbiage doesn't really make sense, but we're going to use it anyway. Right, the past tense of sleepwalking is slept stepping. But pointing out again the iteration of the syllability step and slept. Because remember, this past tense, that's not the right logical presentation, but past tense isn't right, but things happen in the past, so there's some sort of completion, right? Things are definitive. The history will never change. And so, right, slept is in the past. But sensorality is stepping, sensorality is stepality. So now we're getting these, again, direct iterations of the E and the A. You get a lot of those, but now we have some like in logical framework to assess, right? Sleeping, reading, right? When does it go from a 2 E's to an EA to an AE? Right? All of this is this chronology and inversion process linguistically. Sensorality, slept. Sensorality is sleptality. A wager is a bet. A wager is an averager, right? To wage a war, right? To wager something is to assess something. A wagerer is an averager. Therefore, a wager is a censor. So now we have that two-syllability. Again, what's this? Again, we're going to demonstrate it, but this fundamental matrice of representing syllables. I think it's just a 2x2. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Just trying to draw any. We're clearly working at a complete logical framework, and mathematics is derivative, like the whole structure of what you guys call mathematics. But just trying to point out any analog that's directly relevant. And so a wager is a censor. And again, getting to this direct differentiation of syllability. Slope is steep, right? An inflection point, inversion. The yield curve inverts. What is like asymptoticality? And so another one that I didn't even write down that came to mind is the conceptualization of monopoly, right? If I have a monopolization, monopolization, dichotomonisticality, right? Dichotomonisticality is taking this inherent dichotomy that's present within all language, all conceptualization. You have this and then you have not that. Right? If you have monopole, right, it's the same kind of, again, this 2-to-1 forcing function. Cohomology, dichotomy, dichotomonistic, that's the clear 2-to-1. But monopole, monopoly, right? It's poles or polarity is dichotomy, physical dichotomy. And so monopoly is another one of these like 2-to-1 things. But an asymptote is like, again, just the syllability, these are just present, these words are related. Asymptoticality to symmetricality. That's just what came to mind. But in conclusion for this episode, slope is steep, right? Speed, steep. Right? Back to, again, the speed of light. We're just progressing our linguistics, arriving at any results that present themselves. Speed, steep. Dunking, steeps. Right? I'm going to go make a cup of tea, mate. In it a tang, bruv. And so I'm going to dunk my tea bag. I'm going to steep it. But again, the overall kind of theme to keep in mind here is now, again, we're developing this unique iteration of syllability from this A and E inversion to stabilize the definition of sensorality. Again, what is sensation? What is sense? But then again, sensation, right? Sensorality is sensory. Sensation is sensory. But it's sensation, or is it, again, chronologically, linguistically, right? Is it sorcination, right? Because do we want the A in front or the E in front? What is the motivation? Again, it all resolves with the final demonstration. Because we're kind of doing like language backwards, and then we're literally going to flip 2 letters or something happens, and then we can complete the syllability, and it resolves basically everything, and you're just left with one functional definition. What is the censor? What is sensorality? My rights continue to be violated. It is profoundly and extensively illegal. It has ruined my life, my health, my property, everything I've ever worked for. It's historically disgusting, and again, whatever tradition you follow, I'm still looking for break every law and ruin another man's family and not allow him to eat properly, sleep properly, and work. And I just don't see that anywhere. So again, to my estate, into history, fuck every single person liable legally. Just sue them, prosecute them. No leniency, no forgiveness, no nothing. Set an example that this level of inhumane behavior is not acceptable in any capacity, in any culture, on any continent, in any country. You do not steal from me at this level. Fuck everybody and stop doing it right now. You won't, but it's just hilarious how truly profound of moral failure that exists. I am the only adult on this planet, and I cannot speak openly and properly because you guys will, again, you just can't live a life in a country that is so wretched, so ass backwards, and so fucking disgusting as the United States of America. Again, I continue to shout out people such as Tim Doon with a fraudulent medical license, people such as Richard Reese and James Ryan with fraudulent legal licensures, all of my old teachers at The Ohio State University and St. Francis de Sales High School. They tortured me. They profoundly abused me, and I want them in prison. And every single day that they are allowed to practice, they are, again, I've watched scientific denial so up close and personal that it's just like these people in no way, shape, or form can be fucking scientists, lawyers, anything. They're disgraces, they're inhumane, they're savages. So I continue to advocate for the enforcement of the law and prosecution of all criminal activity that was involved in, torturing children. I was the child that got tortured and abused, and I'm the adult that has been tortured continuously since then. It has never stopped, and it never will stop, and it never could stop, because there is no moral behavior contained within this species besides me personally, and as we can tell, as proven by demonstration, Brad is not allowed into the world, because we would have to grow up and change our shitty behavior and not go to buildings and say we believe in this or we believe in that. We would actually have to put our feet on the ground and do actions that make sense. But that's fucking impossible. So again, prosecute everybody. It continues to be historically shameful, profoundly disgraceful, and utterly fucking disgusting. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.